Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I greet you all according to your time and locations. Thank you so much for tuning in. So guys, I have a video here I would like we all to watch. But before then, if you're meeting my channel for the very first time, you are highly welcome. Please kindly do all to like, share and subscribe. Leave your thought on the comment section. Let us know what you think about this video and I will see you towards the end.
President Bola Tinubu has approved the immediate retirement of all service chiefs and the Inspector General of Police, advisors, Comptroller General of Customs from service, as well as their replacements with immediate effect. The newly appointed officers are Malam Nuhu Ribadu as National Security Advisor. Major General C.G. Musa is now the Chief of Defense Staff. Rear Admiral E.A. Ogala is the Chief of Naval Staff. Major General Major T.A. Lagbaja, Chief of Army Staff. The Air Vice Marshal H.B. Abubakar, Chief of Air Staff. DIG Kayode Egbetokun is now the Acting Inspector General of Police, while Major General EPA Udiandeye, Chief of Defense Intelligence. Mr. President has also approved the following appointments. Colonel Adebisi Onosonya is the Brigade of Guards Commander. Lieutenant Colonel Mushud Abiodun Yusuf is the 7th Guards Battalion at Sokoro, Abuja. Lieutenant Colonel Awalu Baba Inuwa is 177 Guards Battalion, Kefi, Nasarawa State. The Lieutenant Colonel Mohammed J. Abdulkarim is 102 Guards Battalion, Suleja, Niger. Lieutenant Colonel Olumide A. Akingbesote is 176 Guard Battalion, Gwagwalada, Abuja. Similarly, the President has approved the appointment of other military officers in the presidential villa as follows. Major Isa Farouk Audu is the Commanding Officer, State House Artillery. Captain Kazim Olalekon Sumonu is Second in Command, State House Artillery. Major Kamaru Koyejo Hamzat is the Commanding Officer, State House Military Intelligence. Major T.S. Adeola is Commanding Officer, State House Armament. And Lieutenant Aminu, Second in Command, State House Armament. I will bring you more details on that story as we get them. But what we know now is that President Bola Tinubu has approved the immediate retirement of all service chiefs and the Inspector General of Police. He has also appointed new advisors, service chiefs, and other heads of intelligence agencies. Let's get back to that breaking news of the last 10 minutes or so, where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved the immediate retirement of all service chiefs and the Inspector General of Police, advisors, Comptroller General of Customs from service, as well as their replacements with immediate effect. The newly appointed, there was also the announcement, rather, of the newly appointed officers. But let's bring in a security expert and the CEO of Beacon Consulting Limited, Dr. Kabiru Adamu. Good to have you join us. Once again, we have seen yet another step in the institutional shakeup, as it were, by President Bola Tinubu, this time in the security sector. Does this particular move surprise you? Did you see this coming?
Frankly, no. It's traditional when head of states take command and settle into office to make changes. I'm only very impressed with the speed with which these changes are being made. Looking at the caliber of persons too that have been appointed, I think it's extremely impressive, and it gives an indication that the president means business. He has indicated clearly that security will be one of the primary focus of his government. And so, both in terms of addressing security itself, as well as the other associated elements that result in security challenges, which is the economy. I think so far we've seen some very impressive and bold decisions by President Tinubu.
The usual expectation from people, especially for security, is that the present security chiefs, service chiefs rather, and the Inspector General of Police will stay a while in office just to help the president get his footing. This particular move, what is the implication in terms of the security situation in the country?
So if you recall, one of the last acts that the immediate past president did was to sign, I think, Executive Order, if I remember well, 4, which allowed the process of transition to be now institutionalized. I participated in that process, so I know that a lot of work was done. The chairman of the council that was raised to facilitate that process was the immediate past Secretary to Government of the Federation. Now, as part of that activity, extensive work was done to compile issues that went well in the security sector, challenges that was experienced within the security sector, and then recommendations to improve the security sector. And then, if you recall, as part of the transition program, the president was handed over the Transition Council report. So, point I'm trying to make is that the president has in his possession, all of these 3 major areas: what went well, what was the mistakes that was encountered, and then recommendations that will improve that. So I do not think his acting is too swift. Given all of this information that is at his disposal, and then given the fact that he's desirous of changing security, let's not forget, my consultancy released a report last week, and we showed clearly that within a space of 10 years, about 78 Nigerians were killed, and this 78,000 Nigerians were killed under the watch of some of this, security leadership. They tried their best, no doubt, but sadly, there is no way you can excuse the death of 78,000 Nigerians under their watch. So anything the president does to change that, I think is commendable. I'm just hoping that some of the recommendations that were contained in that Transition Council document, including introducing accountability, when disappointments are made, just a first step. We need to do security sector reform to ensure accountability within the security sector, so that there will be a review, periodic review, to see the performances. If at the end of 2023, we see a reduction in abductions, reduction in all the security challenges, then we commend them through a verifiable instrument, and several other recommendations that are contained in that transition document.
Absolutely. But for those who are criticizing, or those who are looking at this right now, scrutinizing rather, these list new names that have been appointed, one of the things they'll be watching out for is whether they are square pegs in square holes. But I just want to look at some of those names with you. Let's start with the National Security Advisor, Malam Nuhu Ribadu. What's your thoughts on that appointment?
What we know about Nuhu Ribadu was when he headed the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, and yes, he did a lot of positive things, but there were some mistakes too that was done at that time, and we're hoping that from that period till now, he would have learned to understand that power and leadership has a lot of responsibilities. Now he's been given an opportunity to head one of the most important and influential arm of government, which is the Office of the National Security Advisor, the coordinator of national security, that looks at all the 27 or thereabout security departments within government. So we're hoping that he would pick up on, learn from the mistakes of his predecessors, galvanize an element of cooperation, coordination, and cooperation within the national security sector. And then, of course, in doing that, make sure that he carries everybody along. One of the challenges that have been mentioned is how he will relate with the military hierarchy that sees that office as their, baby, as it were. So it will be very important that he addresses that challenge, and the best person that can help him in addressing that challenge is the Mr. President himself. The Mr. President has given him the authority. He needs to support him in it.
But he also needs to work. I mean, he oversees the duties of the service chiefs and the Chief of Defense Staff, and I just want to ask you about them as well, because many would say, especially for the Chief of Defense Staff, many would say that he has big shoes to fill. When you look at the work done in that short space of time, as it were, by Irabo. But let's look at their names. Major General C.G. Musa is the Chief of Defense Staff. Major T.A. Lagbaja, Chief of Army Staff. Rear Admiral E. Ogala is Chief of Naval Staff. And Air Vice Marshal Abubakar is the Chief of Air Staff.